Hey everyone, Elijah here. You've heard of good moneymakers before. TOB, 8.5 mil per hour, TOA 500s, 14 to 15 mil per hour, Next Duos, 19 mil per hour. But what if I told you there was moneymakers that made this look like chump change? These are the top 5 moneymakers I could find in the entire game. If there was one of these that you didn't know about already, you have to leave a like and comment on the video. Starting off with an honorable mention, we have 8-man Octolo Corp. This requires 8 accounts with max combat stats, fangs, max POH, a few hundred mil worth of gear on each account, and some insane coordination. You need all 8 accounts to be set up with the cameras facing the same way, and running into Corp with 8 fangs and dropping all their specs, and they can kill Corp in under a minute, usually around about 30 to 40 seconds. You also need one of these accounts to deal with the Dark Core. This is quite an intense method, and I did try it out on the Ruinous Prayers beta a while back on my 6 accounts a while ago, so here's some footage of some of the attempts that I was doing. Ideally, if you were going to max out this gear setup, you'd need an Infernal Cape on every single account, max defense, strength, attack, and magic for the magic defense, and you would have to have a rune pouch along with the ability to summon thralls, which would require a whole bunch of quest completions. You can imagine that getting all of this equipment, especially things like Ferocious Gloves that require Dragon Slayer 2, and the magic and stats required, would take quite a while. Pulling this off with peak efficiency can get you about 23 million GP per hour, and that doesn't even crack the top 5 methods that I found. This method can only be done with a correct setup of mouse keys and the exact size of the squares between each of the windows being the exact same. That way you can move the mouse perfect distances between every single spec bar. As far as I know, this is the only method on this list that does require mouse keys to be able to control all the accounts as efficiently as possible. However, there may be possibilities with later methods, as some of them are quite secretive, so it's very difficult to find out exactly how they're done. Number 5, BA boosting. You've likely seen this service advertised by other streamers or YouTubers who didn't want to get their own fighter torso. You can see in this run with randoms, we're completing it in about double the time of booster clans. They're very good at what they do. This total run took us about 22 minutes and 16 seconds, or closer to 30 minutes if you count getting the team together and signing everyone up in the first room, and I would say this is a pretty good group of randoms. The BA boosting discords can do it in 15 minutes or less every single time, regardless of what role you need boosted. Here are some of the prices that these discords list. As you can see, for a premium price, level 5 all roles cost about 500 mil. This works out at a 144 mil split for each of the 4 boostees. Split 4 ways, this works out to about 36 mil per hour. These boosting clans are often looking for more boosters, so if you are interested in getting into it, I would strongly recommend checking out their discords, especially if you just want to hunt for the BA pet, as it's quite rare. Number 4, Next Dolos. Doloing at a lot of God Wars bosses usually makes them more chill and easier, however doloing at Nex might be one of the hardest things in the game. This is because, especially if you're doloing with 2 different attack styles, you have to do multiple different switches, same movements on the same tick, and a lot of different manipulation around the map in order to move and position Nex at exactly the right place at the right time. Even normal duo Nex is very difficult to get into and requires a lot of gear, stats, and experience. However, some people have managed to successfully complete dolo Nex kills. There was a streamer a few months ago called Stefan SSB who managed to do dolo trips on stream where he could get 2 kills in a single trip. However, this was only if he got lucky enough to get exactly the right supply drop, but still, the fact that you could get 2 kills in one trip on a dolo on Nex is insane. Many people, myself included, who have been doing lots of trio Nex, still find that difficult enough to get a single kill in a single trip. If you can manage to pull off this incredibly impressive feat consistently and get multiple kills per hour, you could be looking at 40 plus mil GP profit per hour. Obviously, the requirements here are insane, as you need 2 max combat accounts that have unlocked next by getting the frozen key shards from the other 4 God Wars bosses. And you also need a truckload of gear, as the old account alone needs about 1.4 bill worth of gear equipped just to have the Zarak crossbow and Elysian Spirit Shield to not take too much damage. But this one doesn't even come close to number 3, Corp boosting. On the Petcord Discord, they offer a number of different boosting services. I'm not sure if there are other Discords that also offer these services, but you can order a Corp boost on the Discord, and you're required to buy a minimum of 100 kills, paying 1.3 mil per kill, and the booster can get you 60 kills per hour. Tasty did a video where he got Corp boosted once for one of his Sweaty Sunday series, and you can see just how expensive this truly was. If you want to see the Corp boosting in person, I'd highly recommend checking out Tasty's video, but the method has changed somewhat since the Osbumpton Fang was added. I believe now you only need one person with 6 accounts boosting you, and they just simply come in and spec transfer and let you ZCB spec while they kill the boss very quickly. Everyone teleports to POH, come back, and reset for another kill. Given that you need to buy 130 kills, you have to pay 130 million GP upfront, and the boosters are making 78 million GP per hour as they hand all the loot over to you. Of course, the setup here is obviously insane. You need 6 to 8 accounts that all have max combat, similar to the Octolo solo corp that I described before, but the rewards are much greater as the booster, as you're guaranteed to get money no matter what the drop, whereas if Octolo corp, you have to sit there until you get the Ellie eventually. Boosties are obviously also paying a premium, as they're there to get the pet and collection log slots. Number 2. COX Iron Man purple boosting. This one is a very strange one, although luckily enough, EVscape made a very in-depth video about this not too long ago, so if you want to see a full breakdown, I would highly recommend checking out his video. But basically what you do is you scale up a COX raid for an Iron Man, and then you solo the entire raid content for them, get near the end of the raid, and then you log out with all of your points, which means the points stay as the team's points. This means that the Iron Man gets a 55 to 65% chance at a purple, and Iron Men pay a very good sum on their main accounts to get their Iron Man the valuable drops inside COX, such as the Twisted Bow and Ancestral. This method does require a lot of time, skill, and gear in order to accomplish. You need to be very comfortable inside COX, as you're going to be fighting bosses that have massively scaled defenses and hit points. For example, in EVscape's video, it took him almost 2.5 hours to solo Olm once it had been scaled up the full way. This means that you have several hours of dedicated pure focus to doing this carry, and you often need an ult on another account, as in another player, helping you boost this and doing a number of tasks within the raid, making it easier for you, and this is often worth paying them a cut of the total run to make things a bit less complicated. You're also obviously going to get far less requests for this kind of boost than you are for something like a Corp boost, as this kind of boost is astronomically more expensive. For example, as EVscape described in his video, there's a method where you can pay for a 100% purple chance. The method overall only gives you about a 55 to 65% chance at a purple, but basically the boosters will just keep running you raids until you land a purple. But paying for this is 2 billion GP. Most players, even maxed end gear mains, do not have 2 bill to throw around on getting any purple in COX. These booster slots are obviously also very heavily restricted by the discords, so getting a booster slot is not as easy as simply meeting the incredibly high requirements and being very skilled, but they also need to be actively looking for boosters when you apply. However, if you do manage to make the stars align, have all the gear requirements, and get a slot as a booster in one of these discords and get a customer, you can expect to make 150 million GP per hour, which is utterly insane. This means with every hour of your boost, you could expect to make almost a year's worth of membership at current bond prices. However, this still doesn't have anything on our top spot. Number 1, Kriara boosting. Finding information on this one is incredibly difficult, as they've been kept mostly under wraps, and I didn't have a spare 700 mil to pay for the minimum requirement to get a Kriara boost in order to find out. But based on some methods that I've personally done some maths on and seen other people do, I imagine it's related to having a number of attacker accounts using the Shadow and spec transferring the main account who will spec Kriara. You then have to hop worlds and get your overheads up quickly, and then quickly kill the Kriara in the next world. Doing this method, you can get 90 Kriara kills per hour, so obviously they're going faster than the respawn rate in one individual room. On the screen I have some footage of me doing some Dolo Kriara world hopping, where you hop between 2 worlds killing Kriara and switching to Justiciar in order to pray overheads. However, this method doesn't even come remotely close to how fast the Kriara boost is. Criara boosting costs 2.2 million GP per kill, and you must a minimum order 300 KC. At 90 kills per hour, it'll take about 3.4 hours to finish the boost, at which point you will have spent 700 million GP on kills. For the one boosting you, this works out to be 198 million GP per hour in profit. That is an utterly insane number, but keep in mind in order to successfully pull this up, you'd have to be locking down 2 or 3 Criara wells, have multiple shadows and full ancestral setups, likely also multiple Elysians and ways to transfer health to your boostee, and or running extra supplies into the room to keep resupplying your team. Again, I don't have the finer details here, but here is some footage of someone else doing a Criara boost early on a few months ago, and this strategy still isn't anywhere near as fast as the 90 kills per hour that the pet Discord claims they can get. These top 5 moneymakers are insane. If you learned a moneymaker here that you didn't already know, you have to leave a like and comment. And if you want to support me, consider checking out the Patreon, as my sister's done some amazing artworks available for each of the tiers in full-size downloads. I'd also suggest checking out the Discord, as I'm going to be doing an episode of Setup Surgeon. You can submit your gear and request in the setup channel. I look forward to seeing some interesting submissions. An absolutely huge thank you to my Elysian tier supporters, 22x7, Ventus, and Slow Civic. And a massive thank you to all my supporters on Patreon who keep this channel alive and allow me to put maximum effort into each and every video. You can support from as little as $2 a month. Check out the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, and Discord, and I hope something here helped you reach your next level.